It all started with a knock on my door, a knock that would kick off one of the most unbelievable experiences I've ever had with a homeowners association. I had just moved into a quiet, upscale neighborhood, excited to enjoy some peace and maybe even plant a few flowers in my yard. But instead, I found myself face to face with her asterisk, the HOA president. Let's just call her Karen. And wow, she wasted no time. From the second she opened her mouth, I could tell this lady had made it her full-time job to make everyone else miserable. Within minutes, she was throwing around rules, demanding I change my mailbox, repaint my door, and even threatening fines for parking in my own driveway. I tried to stay calm, but it got weirder fast. Karen wasn't just strict, she was obsessed. She wanted me gone asterisk. She said I didn't belong in her asterisk neighborhood and even filed a formal complaint trying to have me evicted. That's when I decided to dig a little deeper. And guess what I found? A twist so wild, I had to read it twice to believe it. Because turns out, I wasn't just some random homeowner. The house she lived in, yeah, it was mine. Stick around because what happened next? Let's just say Karen didn't see it coming. So here's where things get interesting. After Karen tried to kick me out of the neighborhood, claiming I violated some random HOA rule about lawn height or mailbox color, I started doing some research. I wasn't even mad at first, just confused. Why was she coming after me so hard when I had barely been there a week? But every little thing I did, she had a problem with it. It was like she had made me her personal project. I pulled up the property records just to double-check a few things, and that's when I saw it. A small note buried in the paperwork for one of my rental properties. You guessed it, it was her address. Karen's house. Turns out, she'd been renting from a property management company I worked with. But the kicker? I had bought that house in a bundle of foreclosure properties last year. Totally forgot about it. So technically, I owned the home she was living in. The same home she ruled over like some kind of HOA queen. Still, I didn't say anything, yet. I wanted to see how far she'd go. Every day, she'd leave passive-aggressive notes on my door, threats of fines, warnings about violations that didn't exist. But now that I knew the truth, I was just waiting for the right moment. And trust me, it was coming. The next few days were a game of chess, and Karen didn't even know she was playing. She kept doubling down, knocking on my door with her little clipboard, snapping photos of my garden like I was committing a crime. At one point, she even told another neighbor I was bringing down the property value. Meanwhile, I stayed polite, smiled, and acted clueless, because the more she pushed, the more I wanted to see just how far she'd go. Behind the scenes, I was gathering everything: notes, emails, even a few awkward security cam clips of her snooping around my porch. She was so caught up in her self-appointed role as the HOA enforcer that she never thought to ask who actually owned her rental. I started talking to a few neighbors too. Turns out I wasn't her only target. She had sent warnings for too many wind chimes, inappropriate doormats, and even a flag someone had in their yard. People were tired, but no one wanted to stand up to her. They thought she had real power. And here's the twist: Karen had no clue the HOA board had changed last year. She was operating like she still ran the show, even though legally she didn't. But she was making threats, filing complaints, and acting like a queen ruling a castle she didn't even own. It all came to a head one Friday afternoon. Karen showed up at my door again, clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, acting like she was the mayor of the neighborhood. This time, she wasn't just handing over a warning. She brought a printed notice, claiming she had filed a formal eviction request with the HOA. According to her, I had violated too many community standards, and she was well within her rights to request removal. I almost laughed, because not only did she have zero authority to evict anyone, she wasn't even part of the board anymore. But I kept my cool. Let her dig the hole deeper. At this point, the neighborhood was buzzing. People were talking. Some even started to ask questions about the HOA leadership and why Karen was still handing out fines. A couple of neighbors who had stayed quiet before now came forward with their own stories, small things, but it painted a bigger picture. Karen wasn't just overstepping, she was acting like a landlord, lawmaker, and judge all rolled into one. Meanwhile, I had everything ready. The ownership records, the rental agreement, even a letter from the property management company confirming I was her landlord. But I didn't confront her yet. I was waiting for the perfect time. And trust me, that moment, it was right around the corner. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more ridiculous, Karen took it up another level. That weekend, I came home to find a bright orange notice taped to my front door, one of those dramatic-looking final HOA warning letters. Except this one wasn't just full of her usual empty threats. She had gone to the county office and tried to report *me* for operating an unregistered rental property. Yeah, you heard that right. She tried to report me for owning a property, while she was literally living in one of mine. I couldn't believe it. She was so wrapped up in trying to push me out, she had somehow forgotten that her name wasn't even on the deed of her own home. The twist? That visit she made to the county office triggered something unexpected. When they pulled the property info, it flagged the recent ownership transfer, and that's when I found out Karen had been skipping out on parts of her rent. The property manager hadn't noticed yet, because the payments were just barely enough to avoid red flags, but she'd been slipping for months. So now, not only was she harassing me non-stop, she was technically violating her lease agreement. The stakes were suddenly a lot higher. She was messing with the wrong person, and she had no clue the whole situation was about to explode. So finally, the moment came. I got a message from the property management company. Turns out, Karen had called them in full rage mode, demanding they do something about the new guy on the block. I told them I needed to meet in person, and when we sat down, I laid it all out, every notice, every complaint, the county report, even proof of the missed rent. They were stunned. I think the manager said something like, "She really has no idea you own the place, huh?" A week later, we scheduled an official property inspection. Karen, of course, thought she was in charge of it. She stood in the driveway when we arrived, arms crossed, barking about violations in my yard again. That's when I did it. I handed her a copy of the lease agreement. Her name at the top, my signature at the bottom. She blinked. Then I handed her the ownership record, clearly showing *me* as the landlord. And just for fun, I said, "You know, Karen, if you wanted to complain about your landlord, you could have just called." She turned bright red, stumbled over her words. For the first time since I moved in, she was silent. But just as she walked back inside, flustered and humiliated, she muttered something under her breath. Something about owning the next house over. That's when it hit me. I also owned that one. At that point, I couldn't help but laugh. I went back through my records just to be sure, and yep, the house next door to Karen's, also mine. Another forgotten rental from the same foreclosure bundle. The irony was almost too perfect. Karen had spent weeks trying to push me out of a neighborhood where I literally owned 2 of the houses, including the one she lived in. After everything came to light, the property management company sent her a formal notice about the rent issues and her behavior. She backed off real quick. The HOA board, remember the real one, got involved too, and they confirmed she had no authority and hadn't held an official position in months. The neighbors started to relax. A few even came by to thank me for standing up to her. It felt like the whole street could finally breathe again. Karen's still there, quieter now. She avoids me, and honestly, that's fine. I didn't do any of this to embarrass her. I just wanted to live in peace. But if there's one thing this whole mess taught me, it's this. Always check who really owns what before you start making threats. You never know who you're dealing with, especially in a world of entitled people.